Oh, there we go. After years of trials and tribulations, after a lot of bloodshed and hard wars, we're there. Click. There we go. The Soviet Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, or rather, Huge-oslavia. We have all the territory required. That's another achievement in the bag. It's done, boys. Yugoslavia dominates. But first, if you like these videos, leave a like, consider subscribing for more of them, and hit me up in the comments with what you want to see next. Now, on to the video. Hey folks, Bitter Steel here, back with another video for Hearts of Iron 4. Today we're gonna try another achievement / challenge. We are gonna play as Yugoslavia and we will attempt to create Huge-oslavia, which will involve us conquering every single one of our neighbors. And what is the challenge part, you say? Well, the challenge is we will not be using the method of extremely flexible diplomacy to cheese our way through conquest. No, we will stick with one path, the one true path to play Yugoslavia, and that is under the capable leadership of Josip Broz Tito. That's right, communist Yugoslavia coming up. Yugoslavia at the start of the game is not in a terrible position. You have a relatively sizable army, 22 divisions. We're gonna take the army and convert all of them to the standard infantry template. Set a fallback line around here somewhere because our first target will be Austria. We're gonna grab that before the Germans can, and since the Austrian border is quite narrow and mountainous, it's not the perfect terrain for fighting, so let the Austrians come to us. We will deal with them in our own time. Production. We won't be needing support equipment, so get rid of that. One on infantry equipment will do for now. I would like more, but we have what we have. And put 2, maybe 3, if a factory finishes early, on transport planes. And keep making transport planes until we have 3, 4, maybe 5, but minimum of 3 transport planes. Once you have those, just get rid of the line and fill out 5 factories of infantry equipment. Follow that with some artillery, 3 should do, and a line of fighters, because air is king. And the navy, just make some convoys at the start. No need to trade for steel, it's just the convoys being delayed. We'll fix this later on. Construction, military factories, and that is pretty much all we're going to be building for most of the game. Just straight up military factories. We will need a very powerful economy to pull this off. Research, vital, paratroopers. I think you know where this is going, and general industry following that up. After we finish the paratroopers, dedicate that line to electronic engineering. That should be it for research. Now, as for this run, there's no specific research path to take, except for maybe air. Get the IK-2 early, so you can start making these. And that's it for now for research. We'll come back to that later. Focuses. We're going to work on recognize the Soviet Union. Start work on turning this country communist as quickly as possible. Trade. We're not going to trade for steel just yet. That 1 steel is only required for our convoys, not a top priority. We will trade for rubber. Now, recruitment. Ooh, you can see we need a very large amount of infantry equipment. That's fine. We'll be taking more than enough from Austria. For now, though, we're going to be training a few of these. Yes, 7 should do. High priority. Mountaineer divisions. Why the Mountaineer divisions? Well, they're the smallest divisions we have. We'll just convert these to paratroopers once they've been deployed, and we have paratroopers research. So this is just to get them out the door quicker. Force deploy them as quickly as possible every time you can. Just get 7 out the door. Why 7? Well, Austria has 7 victory points. If we paradrop all of those at once, we knock Austria out of the war nearly instantly. That's it. Now we just crank up the speed and we wait until we're communist. Now, 2 more things I almost forgot. First off, the intelligence agency. If you're playing a country that has the potential to create an intelligence agency early, I recommend you do so. Spies are very powerful if used right, and they're just outright fun to use as well. So we're going to create an agency. Secondly, the entire military will be continuously exercising until we hit 10 army experience. Once we hit 10 army experience, we're going to remove this engineer company from the standard infantry division. That way we won't need to produce support equipment, and we can focus our industry towards the basic infantry equipment and the artillery. We can add those support companies back in later as our industry is more robust after having consumed some of our neighbors.
A few moments later.
Now, by far the most powerful use of the intelligence agency, at least in my book, is to use the cryptology department and get those ciphers. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, where will we send our spies, you ask? Well, we're not going to send any to Austria. Austria will capitulate before spies play any part in there. We are going to be fighting some more powerful nations along the way as well, most notably Romania. We'll fight Romania and Greece at the same time, and Romania is quite powerful relative to us, so every little edge helps, and spies can provide a huge edge in battle. With the Soviet Union recognized, we'll start forming peasant councils and get that communism support ticking. With our peasant councils formed, time for mutual economic aid. Now, as for research, I'm not constantly going to tell you what you should be researching. It goes along the basic lines of industry, keep up to date with this, engineering, keep up to date with this, and then focus on your infantry equipment, your artillery, and your land doctrines as you have opportunities, as you have more army experience or bonuses, or just specific needs. One thing I do recommend you get early is the 1936 fighters, the IK-2, because as Yugoslavia, we have a focus giving us an ahead of time bonus for the IK-3, meaning we can start making 1940 fighters way ahead of other countries, and good fighters can really dominate the skies. We will not be spending our political power until we can take the communist revolutionary. Because of our Macedonian opposition national focus, we'll need a little bit more than 150, but that's okay. We'll wait until we can get this revolutionary.
A few inches later.
And that we also have our paratroopers researched. We can take all of these deployed mountaineer divisions and swap them over to the paratroopers template. And yes, I know that the army is extremely poorly equipped, but that's okay, they won't do much actual fighting anyway. I'm just gonna paradrop into Austria, almost instantly capitulate them, and then equip our army with their guns. There we go, we got our communist revolutionary. Next step, we will abolish the monarchy in true communist fashion. After we finish this focus, we will not be taking any other focuses until we have either swapped to the communists, or until we have enough political power banked to immediately swap to the communists as soon as we have the communist support. This will depend a little bit on how many events will pop up. Sometimes you get none, sometimes you get like 3 and it boosts you by 15%, so it's a bit relative. I can't say ahead of time how your game will go. And our second spy can take a little trip to Greece. There we go, we now have 3 transport planes. That should be enough for our paratrooping operations. I'm going to delete this line, and for now we're going to let this setup fill in. We will not be preparing for civil war. We will open up political discourse and go the referendum path. Now we're already up to 150 spare political power, and we still haven't reached 50% communist support. At this point, you're safe to pick a national focus. I like to go with local militias first to get some manpower, because oh boy, we are already scratching the bottom of the barrel.
Eventually.
Et voila, we can hold our national referendum. We are the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, I believe. And glorious Josip Broz Tito is now in charge. Let's make sure Austria knows. Let's conquer a war goal. Justify a war goal, rather. 48 political power, 240 days. Sounds great. Now next up, we will save 71 political power so we can justify on Greece as quickly as we can before they get any other guarantees besides Romania on them. Now with my spy networks reaching their full potential, I like to set them to, where is it? This one, propaganda. This will lower their war support and stability a little bit, making them that much easier to invade. With the local militias done, we'll start getting a little bit of manpower in. Meanwhile, we will head down the industrial tree towards develop military industry, getting ourselves 3 military factories. Let's also prepare our airborne invasion of Austria, shall we? We'll simply stick 1 paratrooper division on every victory point they have, which is 7. And this is the glorious mess we'll end up with. 1 paratrooper for every victory point. Their armies should be drawn into Yugoslavia away from their homeland, and when the Austrians are far enough into Yugoslavia, we'll just paradrop their undefended victory points. Well, they might be defending 1 or 2 of them, but we'll get enough for a quick capitulation. And 71 political power means we can justify a war goal on Greece. Now with our 10 army experience, let's change this template a little bit. Throw out the engineer companies. That should alleviate some of our pains. Okay, because I'm an idiot and forgot to hit record on time, we missed the declaration of war on Austria. No matter, things are progressing as planned. You can see the Austrian army is marching its way down into Yugoslavia, away from their victory points. All of our paratroopers are queued up and ready to go, so we'll just hit activate and we'll see where we end up. voila! Austria has capitulated virtually instantly. Quite a few guns and some support equipment. That is great news. Let's see. Send everybody back. I'm gonna send the paratroopers to this Greek airbase in Macedonia. The regular army can man the border with Romania. Let's have a look at the spies. They're all working on their war propaganda, but I do think it might be a good idea to install a collaboration government in Greece. Just get their capitulation done quicker that way. The quicker we knock Greece out of the war, the better. Now this could end up being an incredibly stupid idea, but I wanted to give this a try. We have about a little over 100 days before that war goal finishes anyway. With developed military industry out of the way, I like to go for the Yugoslavian path to communism and down to the Federal Republic, just to get rid of some of those pretty nasty national spirits. Set up another army to man our Macedonian border with Greece. I'd like them to head for Thessaloniki if possible, and exercise until they're no longer green, preferably. Let's move all the airplanes. No, not all the airplanes. Leave a few, like 50 around Belgrade to defend the Western Balkans. The other 50 can go down to Macedonia, fight over Greece, move the transports as well, and set up another airborne invasion plan. Greece will concentrate most, well not all, but most of its army to the north, meaning they usually leave up the southern part of their little kingdom here up for grabs. Let's see if we can snag that out from under them with our paratroopers. So if all goes well, we will capture most of southern Greece in one fell swoop. Ah, there we go. Our justification for conquest is complete. Let's have a look at this operation. How much longer is it? 15 days. I'm going to wait 15 days before declaring this war, so this operation is ready and our spies have a chance to start ticking up a bit of a spy network again.
12 seconds later.
15 days have passed. We have completed this collaboration. Send the spies back out. That's not bad. 9% reduction. Might actually take them out rather quickly. Alright, time to declare war on Greece here. But first, let's see if the Soviet Union will be friends. Yes, we're gonna join their faction. This will draw a great deal of Romanian troops away from our border and force them to man the Soviet border as well. Declare war on Greece. We're not gonna call in the Soviets. That's not a good idea. They'll get a lot of war score and we'll have to give up territory to them. Not the plan. We'll fight this on our own. Take the speed down. Oh, they've refused. That's unfortunate. Oh well. I'll improve the relations, see if that helps. Start our para-dropping of southern Greece. The Federal Republic is formed. Let's head for modernize the Air Force all the way down to the IK-3. So let's get us a 1940 fighter well ahead of time. So far so good. Parachuting into Greece seems to be successful. Oh yeah, this is a massive success so far. Okay, so our paratroopers have taken quite a big chunk of southern Greece. Let's see if we can actually hold on to it now. How far off is Greece from capitulation? Shouldn't be too far now. Oh no, they're close. They're close. Just a bit more. And that's thrown the entire Greek army into disarray. They're just moving all over the place. Pin them down and see how many victory points we can take before this goes sideways. Oh, that's great. Greeks are out of commission. A lot of guns from them, that's great. Excellent. Okay, so turns out that collaboration governments are not terrible. Good to know. And take all their land. Okay, so that's Greece out of the picture. Ooh, Romania's pressing hard. I need to do some last stand orders. And get the military organized for some defensive operations in the area. Send you to the Belgrade airport. Well, production's coming along nicely. We do have quite a stockpile of guns, so let's significantly beef up artillery production here. Many artillery guns are required. We'll follow up with some fighters. As for political power, I like to get the popular figurehead now. 15% stability, because we will be sitting below 50% stability for quite a while during this war, opening us up to some pretty nasty events. I'd rather avoid those events, so I'll pick the popular figurehead over military improvements for now. Finally, Soviets are willing to let us in. That should relieve quite a bit of pressure from here, as the Romanian army will now start redeploying to the Soviet front. That finally gives us a few openings to counterattack. Keep pressing the advantage once we find the chink in their armor. To expand your lines while at the same time going for small encirclements, destroying Romanian troops piecemeal, or if you can, just avoid them entirely and press for victory points. And if you're a better player than me, you might actually be using these paratroopers for something I tend to forget. But they're great for making some impromptu encirclements. Sweet, we almost did the thing with the stuff. Encirclements, boys, they're great. as you can see here, Hungary is doing Renounce the Treaty of Trianon. You're gonna wait until right after they finish this focus, because it was going to turn them fascist. The instant they become fascist, we will justify a war goal on them. Because they're fascist, the Allies won't guarantee them, and because they're Hungary, they still have a very large modifier against joining the Axis if we were to declare war on them. So they're basically free real estate the instant they switch to fascist. Voila, the Kingdom of Romania is no more. Bit of equipment from them and a lot of land. We're going to take all states. So we've gobbled up 3 countries now without having to get the Soviet Union involved. The Allies are not involved. We're well on track for taking Hungary as well. That would just leave Albania, which is going to be part of Italy, so we'll have to deal with that. No way around that. And Bulgaria. Not bad, not bad. Let's set things up to deal with good old Miklos Horthy the moment he renounces the Treaty of Trianon. He's gonna regret that. Well, for Hungary, there's not really much fancy foot required. We outnumber them, troops are higher quality, just line everyone up. And we can walk in once we have our war goal. Meanwhile, let's keep pumping out troops. Ooh, manpower is a bit low. So first order of business will be to swap to limited conscription. Now for the Navy, I could just keep building convoys, but I think it would not be a bad idea to start chucking out some of these submarines as well. Give us a bit of a insurance policy against Italy in future. We have a nice stockpile of basic infantry equipment. We're gonna keep producing nice amounts of it, because I think we'll need it to prop up the Soviet Union in future. But I am going to focus my efforts for now on towed artillery, so I can change these templates over to the 7 infantry battalions and 2 artillery battalions. Not optimal, but versus the AI, it's more than enough to win. There we go. The Hungarians have renounced the Treaty of Trianon, turning them fascist. So we can now justify a war goal on them with impunity. None of the democratic factions will guarantee them. The Soviet Union won't guarantee them. None of the Axis powers will guarantee them either. And Hungary will not join the Axis because they still suffer from a very large opinion modifier. I believe it's -200 to join the Axis or to join Germany for some reason. So this is free real estate. One thing to note, that with the Death or Dishonor DLC, Hungary is now using its new focus tree. One of those focuses is reaffirm territorial claims. This one here. This gives them several more cores, and for the achievement we need to occupy those cores as well. Now most of these are Romanian territory, so we'll have that by this point. The only thing that's not Romanian territory is southern Slovakia, this province here, part of Czechoslovakia. Either we will take this from Germany, or Czechoslovakia will accept the event where Hungary demands the territory and gives it to Hungary, and then we'll simply conquer Hungary. Either way, just make sure that in the eventual peace deal, should you not already have conquered the province, to take that province. It's a core, we need it. And with the IK3 finished, we can start research on our 1940 fighters, well ahead of time. Let's turn our attention now to expand the University of Zagreb. Now we can pick here either integrated rail network or improve Serbian rail network. I like to pick the Serbian rail network because it leads to central management, another 5% factory output. I think that is more powerful than the local self-management, which only yields us 5% construction speed. And again, we're rather short on manpower, so let's turn towards extensive conscription already. We are not a very manpower-rich country. We have finished the justification for Transdanubia. It's just a matter of walking in. But first, let's check. We could wait 35 days and get the collaboration government in. I think I'm going to wait 35 days. Do I have 35 days? Yeah, I'm going to wait 35 days before we declare war. Now, before we walk into Hungary, a bit on the next part. We will need to conquer Bulgaria as well. But Bulgaria is non-aligned, which means the democratic nations of the world will still be guaranteeing their independence should we start justifying on them. That's not something we want, really. So how do we avoid this? It's simple. Before we justify a war goal on Bulgaria, we're going to go around wasting tons of political power, justifying war goals on Norway, Sweden, Denmark, maybe even Turkey. Just a bunch of irrelevant minor nations, preferably democratic ones, so they can absorb all those guarantees of independence from France, the United Kingdom, and even Belgium. And once they have 4, maybe 5 of them done, they won't have the political power required to guarantee the independence of Bulgaria, and we can simply take Bulgaria without much of a fight. Happy days! Because we waited a little bit longer, Germany was able to do the first Vienna Award, which gives southern Slovakia to Hungary, meaning we only need to conquer Hungary, and we won't have to worry about taking this in a future peace deal. Well, that's great. Our collaboration government with Hungary is done. Wow, 45%, not bad. Now we simply declare war, we don't call in the Soviet Union, and we walk in.
12 seconds later.
Oh, they folded like wet tissue paper. So with 3 wars, we have taken almost all of the land we need. Now we just need Bulgaria and Italy. And Italy is the only challenging one at that. I think it's time now to also change up our divisions a bit. This is a 20 combat with 10 infantry block. This is purely defensive, and I'll be using some of these to guard my ports. Then the original template, 18 combat with, which means we need to change out 2 of these for artillery regiments, and we end up with the cookie cutter 7 infantry battalions to artillery regiments. Or I'm not great at military terminology, sorry. Just 7 infantry to artillery. Now from this point on, your focuses don't really matter for the strategy. Just pick whatever you want to give yourself the best chance given the circumstances your campaign is in. I like to fill out my industry and then focus on military projects. You do you, it doesn't really matter at this point.
6 hours later.
Now usually once World War II has started, the UK, France and other countries stop guaranteeing other nations that aren't directly involved, especially if they're non-aligned. But this isn't set in stone, so you can risk it now and start justifying on Bulgaria, but there may be a chance that France or the UK guarantees Bulgaria still. So just keep that in mind. Okay, the Netherlands are knocked out. They're marching into Belgium. I think now's a good time to justify on Bulgaria. Fingers crossed, boys.
1 hour later.
Very well, we have completed our justification on Bulgaria, and along the way they did not pick up any guarantees. Now, the big moment of truth will decide whether or not this goes over without a hitch or if we've ruined the playthrough. They could join the Axis, but it's also entirely possible that the Axis doesn't actually get involved. So, let's see how this turns out, will we? Alright, moment of truth here to capitulate Bulgaria before they have a chance to join the Axis. So, bear with me here, boys. Fingers crossed, going in. Don't call the Soviet Union. Once again, never call your allies until it's an actual war with a major faction. Ooh, scary. Okay, Bulgaria joined the Axis, but the Axis hasn't actually declared war on us yet. They haven't joined. I think they won't because, well, the Soviets have quite a few troops on the German border. I have quite a few troops on the German border, and they have none on our border. Same with the Italians. They're not quite matched to us. I think they're too busy with their own entanglements. I don't think they'll actually back up Bulgaria in this. But let's keep the timer going and see where this goes. Okay, Bulgaria has capitulated and the Axis did not get involved. This makes me think we're in the clear here. So let's keep this timer running for a little bit longer. We'll be sure. And we got a peace deal. Excellent. Okay, so in this case, it all worked out. I think you can get Bulgaria to capitulate even faster if you have more transport planes leading up to this. That way, all your paratroopers drop almost instantly instead of having to wait several hours, and you might actually capitulate them before they have a chance to join the faction. But I also think that even if they join the faction, the Axis are too busy at this point to really bother with the Comintern just yet, and I think there's still a non-aggression pact in place between the Germans and the Soviets, and that works in our favor. I'm not sure though, but it all worked out just fine right now. And now, after a few rather short and pretty easy wars, we control most of the territory we need for the achievement. We just need Albania and Italy, and those are a package deal. So what we have to do now is defeat the Axis, while at the same time getting a large amount of war score so we can take everything we need in one peace deal. Ideally, worst case scenario, we have to fight 2 wars. Maybe 3 if the communists do some stupid shit, but we'll see. 2 ways about this. One, easiest way is to prop up the Soviet Union with some big lend-lease and maybe redeploying some troops somewhere while you push hard for Italy using paratroopers to get across the Aegean? The Adriatic, and trying to get Italy out of the war quickly. That way you control all of that occupation, or at least most of the occupation. Or we do the same thing with Italy, but we let the Germans run roughshod across the Soviets, even allowing the Soviets to be capitulated. However, that is a very difficult proposition because we are not a manpower-rich country, and having to fight the Greater German Reich on our own, that's not going to be easy. So I'm gonna opt with keeping the Soviet Union alive while maximizing our own war score in this. But first, some big preparations need to be made. Just keep production ramping up ever higher. We need more stuff. We always need more stuff. Alright, at this point, for your political power, pretty much up to you. I recommend investing in the military since we'll be going up against the Axis, and well, the Soviet Union isn't that great. We are quite short on manpower, so we could go to service by requirement, but I like to postpone this as long as I can. Those negative modifiers are pretty bad, and we still have a bit of manpower incoming as our compliance in the occupied territories rises. We should get a few 100,000 more men that way. So I suggest postponing service by requirement. You won't start losing a lot of manpower until you start getting into some pretty heavy offensive operations. I suggest going with the army, or if you're fond of it, maybe get the elusive gentleman, get even more spies, or rather the Prince of Terror as well for some more non-core manpower. It's up to you really which way you want to go. Personally, I think I'm gonna go with the elusive gentleman this playthrough. More spies. I really like fucking with Italy. Also, another way to get yourself some war score relatively easily, strategic bombing. So I'm gonna start making some strat bombers. You don't have to do this, I just want to do this to try it out.
Eventually.
Okay, so Germany has started their focus war with the USSR. That means we're getting ever closer to the inevitable clash with the Axis. Militarily, we're quite capable. We have decent templates, a relatively large army. We desperately need more manpower, so it would be a good idea to ramp up the service by requirement eventually. But for now, we will focus our efforts on holding our line with the German Empire while pushing into Italy as hard and fast as we can to knock them out of the war quickly. 1, to alleviate pressure on our rather extended lines, and 2, to ensure that we have occupation of that territory and the Soviets or the Allies don't start taking things in the peace deal. As you can see, I've set up quite an intensive para-dropping campaign on central Italy. My plan is to try and cut their country in half and then ferry some more troops across to really take the fight to them. You want to capitulate Italy as fast as possible. I've set up simple defensive line to their north. We are quite stretched here, but the Soviets will funnel more troops in to help with the defense, and at least the Austrian parts of our empire are very mountainous and well defended. Just gonna let the time pass and see if we can hold out against this German onslaught. There we go. Germany has broken the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. War is on. Time to take the speed way down. micromanage our way to victory. This is going to take quite some time. I'm not going to do all of this on screen. I'll be cutting a lot of this, but I'll try to leave in key victories and turning points in the war. So bear with me here. Alright, seems like the paradrop has been a resounding success. We managed to take a port and ferry quite a few divisions across, after which I then converted everything to the standard infantry divisions because there's not going to be a lot of time for additional paratrooping. To the north we've also managed a breakthrough around Venice. This is very good of itself. I'm gonna keep exploiting Italian weakness. They don't really have that many divisions because of my ridiculous amount of espionage. I can see almost everything about them. They have 61 divisions, so I think we can deal with Italy relatively easily here. We're holding against the Germans, but the Soviets are gonna be taking quite the kicking from Germany. Oh well, we'll keep playing, see where we end up. Well, it seemed like the only way to get across to Sicily was to turn a few of those units back into paratroopers and drop on this port here, next to Palermo. You usually don't guard it, having concentrated everything on the victory point and Palermo and on the Messina Strait crossing. And after that, simply ferry some more troops across, deal with the south, and start pushing north. We have the Italians quite well bottled up. Should be a matter of time before we deal with Italy, and then we can focus everything on Germany, because Germany does pose quite a threat. They're hitting us hard, and we're just barely hanging on in some areas.
A few inches later.
And, well, Italy has capitulated thanks to our extensive espionage in their territories. They're out, and they immediately start with quite a bit of compliance. I would have liked to finish that second collaboration espionage deal, but oh well, this is also quite good. So let's redeploy our spies and prepare to take on Germany. Okay, so my advances into Germany will be slow. There will not be a very large, massive push for the time being. Germany is still very strong. But the initial plan will be to create small encirclements by using concentrated force, destroy that pocket, and then move on. So I will systematically cut German troops up, and as I keep doing that, eventually they'll weaken to the point that I can make an all-out assault along the border. And another nice little encirclement that we can clean up at our leisure later on. This is another 9 divisions. Germany's not getting back. Another small encirclement. They'll never see those troops again either. Slowly but surely we're starting to break the Germans down. This could take quite a while, but at least this way we'll get ourselves a nice war score out of it, and we have a good chance of taking Italy and Albania in the peace deal.
Many months later.
Okay, so it's December 1941, and it's just the Germans left in the Axis. We've got ourselves a very respectable amount of war participation, and by the time we reach Berlin this will have gone up significantly, or so I hope. Everything's looking great so far. It does appear the Germans have reached or are close to reaching the breaking point. I'm going to put in a little bit more micro, but mostly I'm just going to let these battle plans run. Yes, this is going to cost us a lot of manpower, but I've been at it for 2 hours now at speed 2 and 3. I think we've done enough. We can win from now on. Oh, every pocket I close, the Germans lose troops they can't replace. This is good. We've advanced quite significantly. We've cut off the Soviet Union from taking too much land. I just hope we can push into Germany proper before the Allies do their D-Day. Let's see. As for war participation, I believe we're on top now with 36%, so we would get to go first at the peace deal. That's great, but more war participation is better. We want to take as much as we can before the Allies or the Soviets have any chance of ruining this achievement for us. Well, for some reason, the US decided to declare war on Vichy France. Well, don't mind me, I'll just walk in from behind then. Well, with Germany being forced to stretch its troops even further with the incorporation of Vichy France into the war, this is just one more nail in the coffin, and it could just be the final nail. They're now stretched so thin, I'm advancing along the entire line here. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, so many German divisions encircled. Oh boy, that's it. Total collapse of the German lines. Gaps forming everywhere. We're just pushing, pushing, pushing. They've got nothing left. Well, looks like the Allies have finally made their naval landings. Gotta keep pushing, gotta keep pushing. Don't want to fall behind on war score or this peace deal is gonna be a nightmare.
Eventually.
There we go, we're finally at the negotiating table. We get to go first because of our high war score. Now it's gonna be a matter of taking the provinces we need, and if we can't take them directly, to at least satellite Italy and maybe Albania so we can get their land that way. Let's have a look what we can take. Okay, taking everything directly, too expensive. However, we can just puppet Italy and take the Dodecanese from them. That works fine. And that is the end of that peace deal. We control all of the land we need, except for the Italian bits. Italy, however, is our puppet. So now it's just a matter of funneling resources into our subject of Italy and clicking that Annex State button. And the fastest way to get them to give up their independence is to simply ship them all your convoys and build stuff in their territory.
2,000 years later.
Oh, there we go. After years of trials and tribulations, after a lot of bloodshed and hard wars, we're there. Click. There we go. The Soviet Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, or rather, Huge-oslavia. We have all the territory required. That's another achievement in the bag. It's done, boys. Yugoslavia dominates. I hope you enjoyed this video. I sure like making it. This is one of my favorite achievements. But if you liked the video, leave a like, consider subscribing if you want to see more of these, and hit me up in the comments with some more suggestions for future videos, or if you want to see some specific achievements, or maybe some specific challenges or mods that you want to see me play. If you didn't like the video, that's okay. Hit that dislike button. Tell me what I did wrong in the comments. Always looking to improve. Nobody's perfect, and I'm definitely not perfect. But this has been it for me. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.